Amber Canyon is here. In this video, we're going to cover all the changes to the game because of this area drop, as well as the event information for the 2-week event that's coming to Pokemon Sleep. Welcome back to another video, it's Bro Vinny here. We will cover the meta relevance of the 3 new Pokemon in a separate 1 or 2 other videos. In case you're wondering though, they are all meta relevant, just in different ways. So it is good to start hunting all 3 of those Pokemon, although Flygon and Crustle largely do similar things, so you might not need both. Besides the 3 new Pokemon Salamence, Crustle, and Flygon, these Pokemon will also appear at Amber Canyon. So if you're still hunting for any of these, and I'm very glad that Pumpkaboo is in this list, instead of just being available at Old Gold Power Plant, well, you can find them all at Amber Canyon. And I'm glad to see Swampert is here as well, although I don't see Sceptile while I do see Blaziken. One thing to note is that all the important stuff are both in dozing and slumbering, but not really in snoozing. So maybe when you're in other areas, do more snoozing, and then when you hit Amber Canyon, you want to do dozing and slumbering. In dozing, we've got Crustle and Gourgeist and Salamence. In slumbering, we've got Flygon. So if you're chasing the hype at Amber Canyon, remember, you snooze, you lose. With the release of Amber Canyon, we have 2 new Dex goals at 450 sleep styles, which by the way come with these bonuses, as well as the requirement for unlocking Amber Canyon, and then at 500 sleep styles completed, getting these bonuses, in total giving you an extra 10% increase to area bonus on all areas. So the current maximum is 85%. You don't have to worry about maxing out on any area bonuses at this stage. And with the Dex goals come greater pot sizes as well, but it's gonna set you back a total of an additional 3.4 million Dream Shards in total. To go from pot size 69, the first expansion costing you 560,000 Dream Shards, to 72 pot size, but then costing you 720,000 Dream Shards to expand to 75 pot size, and then another nearly 1 million Dream Shard to get to 78 pot size, and then another 1.2 million to get to the current maximum of 81 pot size. It doesn't sound like a lot, but it might help you get to the next recipe size, which may give you a big recipe bonus to expand. How much benefits do you get from expanding your pot size, and should you do it right away? If you have the Dream Shards available, I would highly recommend you do it straight away, because the returns that you get will come in the form of better Snorlax strength, so better spawns and more Dream Shards. So the earlier you expand your pot, the earlier you see your benefits. But how much pot size do you need? Well, if you get to 78 pot size, it's actually quite reasonable, because you'll still be able to cook some of these fairly strong dishes like keema corn curry or flour gift macarons. And if you do expand your pot, let's say you've got a max skill level Magnezone, which gives you plus 31 pot size, that means the biggest dish you could cook was Defiant Coffee Dress Salad. But so much as expanding your pot just one time could already get you into Katsukiyaki Curry, Clotsai Eclair, Scary Face Pancakes, with just one trigger from Magnezone. If you increase your pot size just twice, you can already get to Guacamole with one trigger from Magnezone. But beyond that actually isn't really that helpful, because Overgrow Avocado Gratin, even if you have current maximum pot size 81 plus one trigger of Magnezone, is not enough to cover this recipe size. So while it is good to cook strong recipes, you can take your time getting the last 2 pot expansions. Now with the release of the new ingredient avocado and pumpkin, we now have 3 new top tier dishes, as well as 3 mid tier dishes for people who want to use the new ingredients and can't cook the top tier dishes. So newer players. Pumpkin introduced these 2 with a strong dessert dish and a mid-tier curry dish. Avocado introduced a top-tier salad dish and a mid-tier salad dish, as well as a top tier curry dish and a mid-tier dessert dish. So between pumpkin and avocado being relatively new ingredients, we now have one new strong and one mid-tier dish in each category. Now, how much stronger are these dishes anyway? Is there much point to focus on or try to get those dishes cooked? Let's compare them to our previous strongest dishes. An avocado gratin is 20% stronger than cut sukiyaki at a pot size of 14 more. Bulldoze guacamole is 24% stronger than defiant coffee dressed salad. And scary face pancakes is 17% stronger than clot Sire Eclair. But pay attention is that their pot size, their actual recipe size don't actually vary that much. Scary face pancakes needs just one extra ingredient to create such a big difference. Of course, it does require the harder to farm pumpkin, but at 78% recipe bonus as opposed to 61% from Clot Sire Eclair, you're definitely getting your money's worth cooking that dish for essentially the same pot expansion. So yes, it is worth trying to cook the new strongest dishes wherever you can. And we will talk about the avocado farming in one of the next videos when we talk about Flygon versus Crustle. With Amber Canyon, we also get some new achievements, so some rewards, but they are exactly the same as the ones we get from Old Gold Power Plant. So I'll just show you. We've got some handy candies, poker biscuits, main skill seed, diamonds. The list is exactly the same with Amber Canyon. So again, main skill seed, handy candy, some diamonds, etc. But of course, it is harder to reach Master 20 for that final main skill seed reward compared to Old Gold Power Plant. At 8 million Snorlax strength, it is nearly 2 million more than what was needed for Old Gold Power Plant. So you're gonna need a very strong team to get there. Interestingly, even though Amber Canyon was released later, Expert Mode Greengrass does require more Drowsy power to reach Master 20. We also get better achievement rewards from Greengrass Expert. We get Sub-Skill Seed and Main Skill Seed, as well as an Ultra Biscuit. Now these numbers will actually become important, and there's a reason why Banana Tank's graphics shows you these specific numbers. As with most missions during events, you'll want to reach Master 1 to get all the mission rewards, and that is true for the Amber Canyon event as well. So at least make sure you hit this number. And it will be difficult because you're on low area bonus, given that Amber Canyon is relatively new. If you can't reach it for the reward, maybe consider Greengrass as your event area, which we'll come back to cover in the later part of this video. For the last part of this video, I want to look at the Amber Canyon debut event. This will be a 2-week event which will run from the 10th of November until the 24th. Laurabella reminded me that the Eevee event should run concurrently at this time, or did Amber Canyon kind of overshadow Eevee Day, which is meant to be the 21st of November? So keep your eyes peeled whether they might do something for Eevee Day, and is it going to be a good thing? Do we want Eevee crowding out our new Pokemon spawns? Now this event will be available both at Greengrass Isle and Amber Canyon, of course. If you haven't unlocked Amber Canyon, your only choice is Greengrass Isle. Just don't go to Greengrass Expert because that's not included in the event. You won't get any of the event bonuses. For people who have unlocked Amber Canyon, it's generally a good idea to go to that area to farm the new Pokemon because that's what the developers say, but you should know that because the area bonus is low and depending on how well prepared your team is, you may not get a lot of spawn count initially. I don't have the numbers to prove that Trapinch, Bagon, and Dwebble will be more likely to spawn in Amber Canyon compared to Greengrass, even though the area bonus is going to be small, but that's what the developers say, so we'll just kind of have to trust them on this. Now you should know that Bagon and Dwebble only spawn on Amber Canyon normally, so it's only for this event that they're allowed to spawn in Greengrass Isle. Trapinch can spawn in Amber Canyon or Taupe Hollow, but also not at Greengrass Isle normally. So you will actually catch some legacy Pokemon, meaning that the Pokemon's caught location will be somewhere that you can never catch it again at that location unless they decide to change the spawn pool at Greengrass Isle. I'm not sure that's enough to sway anybody to go to Greengrass Isle, but maybe if you haven't unlocked Amber Canyon, that could be a good incentive just to do this event well anyway. So catch a lot of these new Pokemon wherever you can. Now, of course, during this event, the 3 new Pokemon will have slightly greater appearance rate, so this is one of your better chances to get a good one. Hopefully you've saved enough biscuits, and whenever you do see them, try to catch them. And Pokemon do spawn outside of their sleep types during this event, so you don't really have to force dozing and slumbering, but that's where most of the good stuff are. Now, thanks to the data miner Rainonix, we also have the actual missions list from this event. So the first week's mission list, we've got to try and hit Master 1, but remember, if you fail to hit Master 1 for Amber Canyon in week 1, well, you can try to do it in week 2 when you have a higher area bonus, or you could switch to green grass if you're struggling that much. Just have to consider whether 1 Bagon incense is actually worth you going to green grass for a week though, because again, you're supposed to get more Bagon spawns at Amber Canyon. But anyway, for your week 1 missions, you'll get 1 of each of the new Pokemon incenses for reaching all the way to Master 1, some Dream Clusters, Poke Biscuits, and Handy Candies. Then you'll get those new Pokemon's candies for reaching Master 1 in week 2. I'm very happy about getting 10 Poke Biscuits in total over the 2 weeks of missions. You will also get 1 friend incense, although all these 3 new Pokemon are 5 bars to catch. So do you really need to use a friend incense? Well, that's up for debate. Maybe hold on to the friend incense for other harder to catch Pokemon, the ones that cost a lot of bars to catch, like Weavile, Dedenne, Onix, etc. And finally, let's take a look at the Amber Canyon bundles. You can only get each bundle once, and they will have Bagon, Trapinch, and Dwebble incenses, depending on which you get. In terms of their overall value though, this was my analysis. Bundle S is the worst value and one of the lowest value we've ever seen in terms of, well, Poke Biscuit discount. Yes, you still get Poke Biscuit, which is a highly desirable commodity, but where the value lies for Bundle S is if you really need a Bagon, and I can tell you Bagon is quite strong. Salamence is actually among all the berry specialists, so ignoring Sceptile, the strongest, even stronger than Steelix in its berry output. Hence you can see why the value is kind of low, because you probably want a good Bagon. It is undervalued here because I'm only valuing the Pokemon incenses for what candies that they provide, not how good the Pokemon here is. Bundle M and Bundle L are reasonable value. They are similar to what we normally get, but with Bundle M you don't get Bagon incense, you do get the avocado farmers, Dwebble and Trapinch, and depending on which one you prefer, well, actually both can be good. So again, actually maybe a little bit undervalued in this case as well, meaning that Bundle L is one to watch out for, because having Bagon, Trapinch, and Dwebble all being undervalued and yet still getting a 38% discount, that's actually quite good, as long as you can afford the 3,000 diamonds. Let me know what you guys think of Amber Canyon debut event. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and get ready for the meta analysis of the 3 new Pokemon.